Hey, what's going on, Emile? My name is Nigeria Chambers of Big Go Belt Media. It's a pleasure to talk to you finally.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to talk to you as well.
Absolutely. I've been consuming a lot of your content recently, and it was absolutely on my highest priority to get a chat in with you. Starting with the film Dig, which is available now, and then also here to talk about Devil's Workshop, which is available today in theaters on demand and digital. So I want to kind of start off with the question that I've been wondering. I mean, I've been a fan of yours for a while, and I think just these last two projects alone just shows you the world just how talented you are. Just a vast difference in characters from one moment playing Victor to the next moment playing Donald. So for you, how fun are you having right now acting?
Well, I really appreciate you saying that, because I really do feel the same way. The last couple years for me, I've had such a I wouldn't want to call it like a newfound passion for acting, but I've been doing it so long now. I've been doing it like 27 years now professionally
Yeah.
that it's just like my whole life. And I feel like in the last couple years, I just started to have a little bit more fun with it. And I feel like that's a quality that really comes through in Dig and also Devil's Workshop. And
Yeah.
it's a certain confidence, I think, and a willingness to kind of play around that I really can feel the difference. And I've just been having a lot of fun on the films I've been making lately. It's been a super engaging process. And Dig in particular, I had so much fun playing this ridiculous, larger than life, really a comedic role. you know um there's almost he's almost like a Tarantino-esque kind of hillbilly bad guy or something like that.
Absolutely.
um y-
Absolutely.
like uh, you know just I was like, let's just take this like all the way. um and Liana Liberato was more than willing, and I had so much fun with her. And then in Devil's Workshop, I thought it would be fun to do a send up of an actor, you know. And originally, um, this is a little inside baseball here. Originally, that big sequence with the two girls wasn't in the script, right?
Really?
So I think at some point in the post-production process, they said, okay, we want to add one more scene just so we can have a little bit of cutaway back and forth between Radha Mitchell and Tim Granaderos' characters and Donald. They wanted to emphasize the jealousy and the juxtapose how these two actors were preparing. So originally they sent me a scene that was all like Donald with TikToks and the girls, and it was very, very social media centered. And I said, maybe there's something in there that we can still do this, but let's emphasize the TikTok part just a little bit less, because if I know how social media works, in 2 years there's going to be like some new app and TikTok's going to be lame and it's going to feel dated. And I was like, and I'm also 37. I'm a
Yeah.
dinosaur in the social media world. And I was like, let's just a little bit more old school, just emphasize these terrible qualities. So Chris wrote a different version of the scene, which I actually, as a non-social media, just junkie in that way, I was like, okay, this is cool. So we shot that scene. And that scene was crazy because I was shooting another movie in Atlanta called The Stenographer at the time. And they were like, we're going to shoot this extra day on a Saturday, right? And I was like, great, but I'm busy all week preparing material for The Stenographer. So I didn't have any time to learn any of the dialogue, which for
Mm,
me, I never do that, right? I
mm.
always learn my lines. So I get there and I said, you guys need to make these, because I'd seen a couple actors that were like 80 that I've worked with in the past use these cue cards, right?
Yeah.
I was like, you guys need to make like a lot of cue cards, like 12 pages worth. So they started scrambling with the Sharpie, and they made 12 pages of cue cards. So I ended up doing this 12-page scene literally almost entirely on cue cards. And
Wow.
what was crazy about it was I actually there is, Marlon Brando famously used cue cards on The Godfather, and he was saying how much it helped him and how he felt free in a really unique way. And actors sometimes like repeat that story, but most actors don't believe it. They're like, oh, the guy just didn't want to learn his lines, and he was this lazy guy, and he was so spoiled at the time. Like, no, most people don't believe it. They're like, they hear someone trying to get out of learning lines and they think they're trying to get out of doing some work, right? So in this case, I just didn't have a choice. But I found that it really kind of it kind of drew certain things out of me that were kind of unexpected, and it kind of it worked for that particular long sequence with the girls. It really worked, and there was a part of me that was kind of tipping my hat to Mr. Brando, like maybe he wasn't just saying a line in an interview trying to get out of learning his lines. I was like, all right, maybe there was something to some of that. And I really enjoyed how that sequence turned out. I thought it was a really surprising, cool sequence. And almost like a little short film within the movie. You have this hyper annoying, awful guy really kind of get his comeuppance. By the end of the sequence, but there's something funny about it that, like, even though he gets his comeuppance and he thinks he's gonna die, and he's pleading for his life, he still is enough of a narcissist to just be like, oh well, this will make my performance amazing. I'll use all this PTSD and trauma, and I mean, it's like just when you think he can't get any worse, he gets just a little bit worse. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
I'm bawled by this story here. I couldn't imagine the film not having it. And when I watched it, there was a moment of this where I was projecting what the character Donna was going to do. And as you said, the girls even having a sort of a supporting cast role in the film really took this 3 to 5 minutes and made it a must-watch scene in the film, with the three of you all together bringing so much energy that, like, as much as the ending had a shocking moment to it, that little dynamic there kind of had me at the edge of my seat, like, what just happened? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a classic kind of moment where you think it's one thing, and then it's totally, you get tricked so hard.
Yeah, I was adding commentary to myself, like, oh, they acting right now. Really quickly, with my really last question, I got to ask this because everybody's going to ask me if I didn't ask this. Oh, come on now. I got to know those bars that you spit it. Are you really a lyricist, or did you kind of channel something to kind of, bring it to that sort of aspect of the character?
So, yeah. So I, growing up in, like, I got into rap when I was like 10. My buddy Buster in New Mexico got me into rap. And then, I was listening to a lot of rap all through middle school and high school. And when I was a little kid, I discovered really young, even like 6 years old, that I could rhyme. I could just make up rhymes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of years writing and freestyling, and I was freestyling in high school. I mean, I went to Hamilton High School, by the way, which is Nipsey Hussle was in my class.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't really know him, but I remember him. I remember seeing him around. I mean, I don't remember him like talking a lot. He was pretty quiet, that I remember, but I mean, I remember him.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember one day I was like, I joined the freestyle like Olympics at Hamilton. And I was like the only white guy there, and it was in the auditorium, and they canceled it. And they were like, oh, it was something about like, oh, you got to have like a GPA to have like an official school event or something like that. So we all went outside to the lunch tables, and it was like a crowd of like hundreds of people, and we were all freestyling, and everyone wanted to freestyle me because I was like the one white guy. It was like crazy. And I was so nervous, and it was pretty wild. It was definitely the most fun I ever had in high school was that day.
Wow.
So yeah, so I remember those rhymes at the end of the movie. I didn't know they were going to put those in there in the credits. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, those are some okay lines. It's not my best stuff, you know, definitely not my best stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was actually just me rhyming a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I know I gotta let you go, but I gotta give you your props because you know, as a lyricist, you want to hear from the fans. And I gotta say, you can tell that it was a little bit of character, but the delivery, I was like, oh no, he can really rap. He can really rap. You can tell there's a flow to this. Like it was feeling a little bit like drill music a little bit. And I was like, oh, I think this guy can actually rap. I gotta ask. I know everybody want to know. So and there you are confirming it. What a legendary couple of stories you had here today, man.
Yeah,
Man.
the two guys that I flowed with that I was stoked with. One time I freestyled for a while with Shia LaBeouf. We were freestyling back and forth for a while. I freestyled with Lupe Fiasco.
Oh, it's my favorite rapper, dude.
For a while. And me and Lupe were freestyling a bunch when I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro when I was 25. And I've also freestyled with Zac Efron, who's surprisingly good as well.
Really? Oh my God, dude, this is criminal. We only got this much time. We totally. I'm gonna be eyes on your next project, so we're gonna continue the story there, dude. Now that's 3 legendary stories in this interview. It's clearly going to be one of my favorite interviews of all time. Emile, it's a pleasure to talk to you. And again,
thank you so much.
Check out his last 2 projects in Dig and Devil's Workshop, both available now on demand, digital, and in theaters. Jump in the comments. Let them know how you feel about the film and his work. And until the next time we chat, buddy, I hope you have a good one.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Najir.
Thank you.